Hot mic.
Getting outer space from that?
See, John, maybe shut yours off and we'll see. Is that better? Okay. Yeah, I think we're doubling up on it. Okay. I'd like to call the Butte-Silver Council of Commissioners special meeting for Wednesday, May 11th, 2022 to order. Clerk, could we please have roll call?
11 present, 1 absent.
11 present, 1 absent. Please note that Commissioner Fortune is excused from tonight's meeting. Commissioner Sorge, could you lead us in the prayer and the pledge?
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, fellow commissioners. Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which shall greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Sorge. And we'll move on to any public comment on any item on tonight's special meeting agenda. If there's any public comment on that, please step forward, state your name, address, and what you'll be speaking on. Seeing none, I will call for the special meeting. J.P. Gallagher, Chief Executive, is calling for a special meeting of the Butte-Silver Council of Commissioners for Wednesday, May 11, 2022 at 7:30 p.m., preceding the Committee of the Whole meeting in the Council Chambers, Room 312, to authorize Chief Executive Gallagher to sign the attached temporary access agreement with Hollow Contracting. Hollow Contracting will be installing a basketball court at Fleecer Park, a Butte-Silver-owned park. We have communication number 2022-235, Bob Lazary, Parks and Rec Director, requesting J.P. Gallagher to sign a temporary access agreement with Hollow Contracting, who will be installing a basketball court at Fleecer Park, which is a BSB-owned park. Director Lazary, if you'd like to give just a little synopsis of what we've got going here.
Is that working? Okay. Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. So this project came to us from some neighbors down at Fleecer Park. So Fleecer Park is on the corner of Beetle and Fleecer. It's down in the country club area. They're looking for some improvements to this park, specifically a basketball court. When we met with them, we said we don't have the funds for such a thing right now. In their best interest, if they would raise money, we could assist them. That was probably a year and a half ago. Well, they came to us. They have raised the funds for the basketball court. They had a good plan. The plan was approved by the Parks and Rec board on Monday. The reason we called this special meeting, though, is they were contacted by their contractor, Hollow Contracting. He said he could start immediately. He had a window before the summer season started. I don't like to call a special meeting because I know you guys are busy up here, but I felt this was prudent so we could get this approved so he could start on this project.
Thank you, Director Lazary. Is there any questions from the commissioners? Okay, so Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Thank you, Mr. Lazary, for this opportunity. It sounds great. I would move to approve communication 2022-235 and place it on file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move and place on file communication number 2022-235. Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. This concludes our special meeting.
Thank you,
to
commissioners, and thank you, J.P. Gallagher.
Move out of your way here. Change over here.
Change seats. Thank you for warming me up, Asher. All right, greetings and welcome to the Butte-Silver Council Commissioners Committee of the Whole meeting agenda. And at this time, I would ask for a roll call.
10 present, 1 absent, 1 presiding.
Thank you. And we already had our prayer and the pledge. At this time, I would ask for any public comment on any item that's on the Committee of the Whole agenda tonight. If anyone would like to make a comment, come forward, give your name and address, or not. Okay, thank you. Report of the chair, I really don't have anything special to report on today. We do have a pretty full agenda, so I think we'll go forward straight away to section 1, bid openings, public hearings, and/or presentations. We have 3 presentations. The first one is communication number 2022-178. Bob Lazary, Parks and Recreation Director, requesting Council Commissioners' authorization for the time on tonight's agenda to provide an informational presentation regarding the progress of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. And we have Mr. Lazary. Where'd you go? There you are. I'm looking right at you. This is your night, Bob.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity and time to give this presentation on the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. I'm Bob Lazary, the Parks and Recreation Director, and today with me I have Stephen Coe from WET and Mark Garf from SCJ Studio. Stephen and WET are very familiar with our Parks and Recreation Department. They've been involved with a number of projects. I was excited to see WET respond to the RFP on this master plan. WET and Stephen bring an intimate knowledge to the table for this master plan. Mark Garf and SCJ Studio, they partnered with WET on this, and they bring a professional view to the table, I think. SCJ has been involved with numerous parks plans, and now they made an investment in Butte with opening a local office and a full staff. Their fresh perspective will be important as we finish this final project. We're lucky to have these guys as a team working with us, I think. This master plan will be a compilation from responses that we have gathered through public meetings, online surveys. The public, the responses from these meetings will shape this plan. My belief is this Parks Master Plan will provide information to help Parks and Recreation increase quality of life in our community. This will represent the wants and needs of the citizens of Butte. Again, this is their plan. They come to us and say, this is what we want. We hope to use this plan moving forward. And I think in the future, years to come, this plan will direct us in the right course. Again, thanks for offering this time to bring this update. I'll turn this over to Stephen Coe from WET. Oh, excuse me, we have Mark Garf going first.
Mark?
Thank you very much, Commissioners. I'm Mark Garf from SCJ Studio, and I'll be giving kind of a brief overview of what we've accomplished so far and what we have yet to do. Our last master plan update was 2008. These are generally updated every 10 years, so we're a little overdue. And some of our goals were to update our vision statement, update the parks property inventory, which is extensive, and we've been doing some extensive public outreach. What do we want? What do we need? And I'll go into a little bit more detail on each of these. And then we're comparing ourselves to our other sort of peer communities, looking at other park systems. And we'll be putting together a draft and final capital improvement plan. So it'll make recommendations on what we should do next. And then we'll be doing a draft and final updated master plan with a presentation to the public. So first, I'll talk about our public outreach. We got together, came up with a plan for public outreach, and initially put together a flyer and kind of a roadmap of how we would kind of proceed through the master plan in relation to the public. So the very first thing we did was we handed out a bunch of flyers at the Christmas stroll. I think we gave out about 150 flyers. They had a QR code where people could click on it or scan it with their phone and go to the Parks Master Plan to learn more so that people would know what was coming up. And then on January 6th, we had an open house at Butte Brewing. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. And then we did a survey at Snowflinga. And then all of March, there was an online survey, which I hope you all took. And then in June, we'll be presenting the draft master plan. Where do I point this? You? Where do I point this? Oh, there, okay. Thank you. So on January 6th, which was the very end of the biggest snowstorm we had all winter, I think we had, 14 inches that night, we had a meeting at Butte Brewing, and 30 people showed up. So that was a pretty good turnout for the snowstorm. We had various stations for people to sort of work through. We gave people kind of a yes or no on park activities, what they liked, what they didn't like. We asked people what they love about parks, what could be better. We got amazing feedback. We had some mapping exercises, and then we had a vision statement exercise, which we put up our draft vision on the board, and we gave people Sharpies and asked them to cross things out, mark it up, tell us what to add, and we got some great feedback on that. And what we ended up with, so the vision for Butte-Silver Parks is to connect our evolving community, sustain our treasured outdoor spaces, secure sustainable funding to ensure growth, support our unique cultural opportunities and events, and cultivate the backbone of a vibrant, thriving city. So that feels pretty good. Yep. And then a few weeks later at Snowflinga, we came up with just a quick 7-question survey, and this was sort of to guide us into the next phase. We wanted to take people's temperature on where they were at with different park ideas. We had iPads, you could scan it on your phone, and you had paper, and we got great responses. We talked 135 people into taking the survey that night. Over there. One of the things we asked was, what do you think is amazing about the Parks and Trail system in Butte? People love the trails here. We do have a really, fairly robust trail system for a city of this size. And we got some great feedback on that. And then we asked people, do you think Butte Parks and Recreation could use more funding? We got a resounding yes on that. The average was 9 out of 10. And nobody rated it 1, 2, and 3, which was great. It might have been because we were standing right there looking at them, but it came up in the data again. And then we had a more thorough online survey, which, again, we used the previous 2 outreaches to kind of guide the questions that we were asking. 13 questions, and then 7 interactive mapping exercises. And we got almost 500 responses. We reached out, we sent a QR code in the water bill. Then Montana Standard did a write-up, interviewed Bob and myself. And then KXLF picked it up and put it on TV. And we did Party Line. Stephen, Bob, and I talked about the Butte Parks Master Plan for about an hour, which was great. Chamber of Commerce sent out an email blast. It was on the website in various locations, and we did some social media outreach. So we asked similar questions, but we dove a little bit deeper into some demographic data. I'm not going to go into all the information. It'll actually be in an appendix of the master plan, but I'll just hit a few key points here. Importance of parks. 75% of the respondents gave us a 10 out of 10. How often do you visit a park in Butte-Silver? The number 1 answer was weekly, and then we got a lot of dailies. I'm one of those daily users. I live across the street from Big Butte Open Space. I'm on the trails every day. What would make the Butte-Silver Park system even better for you or your family? Number 1 was greater variety of things to do. Number 2 was more trees and planting, which is great to hear that. I'm a landscape architect, and I agree. Then more cleaning and maintenance, added restrooms, et cetera. And then this was really interesting. I'm sorry you can't read this. But what are our park system's needs? Well, the city of Butte-Silver needs. Number 1 was an indoor recreation facility, which does make a lot of sense. We have some long, cold winters. Number 2 was an expanded trails network. We already have a great trail system, but we could make better connections. To provide concerts, entertainment, and events, update existing facilities, more trails, off-leash dog parks, I think was number 6 there, and then on down. And more trees and planting, that was on there too. And then, should Butte-Silver change how much it invests in parks and trails? We got a resounding yes on that. I think it was 82%, so that's fantastic. And then we had some mapping exercises where you could click on the parks that you use and make comments about them, and it generates heat maps. And so we have this for the entire county, but I'm zoomed in on a couple of places so you can see it a little bit better. You know, this is kind of the downtown area. Let me just go one more forward. So this is, these are the big 3 kind of along I-90. You've got Stoughton, Skyline, and Father Sheehan, and they get a lot of use. And then we found this interesting. This is Uptown. We have a lot of small parks in the Uptown area, you know, small tot lots, maybe 1 or 2 pieces of equipment in each of these small parks. And they didn't get a lot of hits on those, which makes sense. The bigger parks attract more people. The smaller parks, not as many people are using them. And then this is a trails use heat map of just Thompson Park. Every single trail in the park got a click on it, so people really love those trails. And then we also asked people about safety concerns. And so it generated kind of a heat map. You can see right in the middle there is Clark Park, and then up top there I think is Emma Park. And so we have all of the comments related to that. You know, why is this a safety concern? We got all the comments, and we've given that to Parks, and it'll be in the appendix. So we asked people what trail connections are needed, and they're smart. They're connecting the Greenway up for us, which is great. Some of that's underway already, but one good thing that this shows us is a lot of people want to get from Thompson Park into the city. That does make a lot of sense. And each of these has a comment as well. And then finally, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen here to talk about our inventory phase.
Stephen, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing us and SCJ to work on this project. This is truly one of the funner ones I've worked on lately. It's great to work with all the people. The public meetings have been a lot of fun, getting to see people, hear what they have to say. So as Mark said, I'm going to talk a little bit about the inventory phase. So you're going to see we have a lot of parks. So we reviewed all the background data. We pulled up the GIS layers that you have existing. We updated those, or updating those. We assembled a spreadsheet. I'll give you an example of that in a minute. I apologize ahead of time for how small it is. Field verified the data when we had to, or when we needed to. For example, Stoughton Park has had a lot of changes, as we all know. So we went down there and verified. We checked off, you know, there's 8 benches, whatever we came up with. So the master list includes every park, the acreages, the facilities, all the equipment, the fields, the courts, the buildings, parking, wayfinding, surplus properties, special use areas, and trails. So from that, we see we've got 13 mini parks like Rock Park, Suex Park, Recce Park, 11 neighborhood parks are getting a little bigger, Chester Steel, excuse me, community parks, Skyline, Stoughton Park. Special use areas, the Whiskey Gulch Trail, the old Lexington, the original mine yard. 17 special use areas. Did I say 7 again, Bob? I probably did. I did that in practice. Practice makes perfect, right? 8 natural areas, greenways, open space, Big Butte, trails, Thompson Park. 19 schools and private facilities, including the Civic Center, the Mac Center, high altitude speed skating rink, and 12 undeveloped park areas, including like a portion of Skyway. This leads up to a total of 86 park areas that we've got in the inventory that Bob is lucky to deal with. Rounding it up to, around 4,200 acres, including almost 2,900 additional acres of the school undeveloped areas greenways. So this, what does our trails look like? We've got 67 some miles of trails here in town. 19 paved trails, almost 20 miles of paved trails, and bordering on 50 miles of unpaved trails. So that's robust. Mark's got some data he's going to show you on how that works out demographically with us. It's really interesting. Here's the what I apologize for. So it's a long list. Let me tell you. So this is one of the pages that we have. We've got 4 or 5 11 by 17 pages from the spreadsheet that look like this. This catalogs everything we have, all the assets in all the parks, and breaks it down by those categories we talked earlier: mini parks, community parks, etc. Back to Mark, right?
Back to me.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, the inventory is robust. It's every teeter-totter, every swing set. And it's interesting, when compared to some other communities of similar size, we have a much more robust park system. We have a lot more properties, and in most cases, more acreage. And we have a pretty great trail system here, too. So it's a lot to take care of. One of the other chapters of the master plan is our demands and needs analysis. So this is when we kind of dig into more of the data. We look at population and demographics. We look at park acres per square mile, for instance, and the same with trail miles. We also look at existing staffing, existing programs and participation, and we look at some performance measures related to those. This is what we're working on right now. And then we also look at funding sources, operating costs per capita, and kind of revenue per capita. So we looked at about 15 different cities to compare to. The last master plan compared us to Helena and Kalispell. And this time around, we looked at cities that had recently updated their parks master plan, so we would have really good data. And we came up, again, with Helena, Montana, is a very similar city in size. And then we went down the hill to Idaho Falls, Idaho, which is similar to us in that they're adjacent to kind of national forests and a lot of recreation areas. And we're also looking at Cedar City, Utah, which, believe it or not, is a lot like Butte in its size and population density. So kind of what this tells us is Butte has the most parks of these 3 comparison cities. We have the most total park acreage. Idaho Falls has a lot, but it sort of pales in comparison. And I should note, a lot of this acreage comes from the Thompson Park area, which is just outside of the Butte urban boundary, but I feel like it's still part of Butte because it's so close. Trail miles, we're maybe a little shy of Helena, but that's including, we're looking into this a little bit more. I think that's including a lot of the prickly pear trails that are way up in the mountains, and so that's maybe not a fair comparison. We're going to drill down on that. So I guess what it says about Butte is we have a pretty good park system. What will be more interesting is to compare the funding of these different cities and see how it compares to the acreage. We haven't done that yet. We're going to be working on that. So we'll also be looking at local, regional, and national trends. We'll be doing some demographic assessments, a forecast of population growth, and we'll be identifying new recreation facilities or programs that are needed. Click. Yep, I think this is Stephen.
Back to me. So where are we going with this? You've seen where we've gone. We've done a lot of public outreach. We're in the middle of pulling the plan together. We've done the inventory. So the next step is, we're identifying and pulling together the capital improvement plan. So we're going to come up with a 6-year capital improvement plan with cost estimates, narratives. That'll be pretty detailed. We'll also include a 20-year capital improvement plan, which is more of a wish list, a little less detail, but nonetheless something to set sights on. We've designed this, and we're working, within the bounds of what the comp plan has already done, as well as incorporating suggestions from the Uptown Master Plan, so that in our minds, everything will work together in the end. We're working on the draft master plan. As Mark said earlier, we're shooting for a June draft release of that. That'll include a public outreach component where we'll present to the public once Butte-Silver is happy with the draft product at least. And from there, we'll take the input and we'll produce the final master plan. And with that, thank you for your time. We stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you, gentlemen. Very interesting. I just have one thing to say. I was here for the '08 master plan, and they want to take away all my tot lots. Rock Park, Cherokee, or not Cherokee, but Apache Park, and a couple of others. And holy moly, IC Park. And I actually went out and I had the kids in the neighborhood sign a petition, and they ended up not doing it, but that frightened me. And I just thought, though, each of those little parks has a population surrounding it, and a lot of times they're underprivileged people and underserved. And I would love to see some new equipment in some of those places, but please tell me you're not going to get rid of any tot lots. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
you want to answer that, Stephen?
Obviously, we're still working on the plan. I don't think that's necessarily on our agenda. We will identify underutilized areas, but I don't think we will suggest, remove the tot lot, for example. But we'll see. Bob will tell us if we're doing things wrong.
All right, I'll hold you to that. Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could you kind of touch on it a little bit? You're talking about the safety end of it. Are you talking about personal safety? Is that kind of what you're leading towards? I guess one of my concerns of the parks is, we're investing a whole bunch of money into the parks, and they seem to get vandalized and they get security. To me, that would be one of the top things. How do we secure our investments in the parks?
All right.
Yeah, so
Stephen?
I'll start to address that, and Mark, Bob, jump in if you want. The safety responses on the questions, all these responses will be in the appendices of the plan that everybody can see, but they were exactly what you're saying. It was like, this isn't safe, there's thugs there, I don't feel safe going there, the bathrooms aren't clean. It was all of these things. There's a motorized car on a trail that shouldn't have been there. So we're getting a lot of good responses. Mark, you have
Mark, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think what this will show when we crunch the numbers a little bit more is that parks could use a little bit more funding for some of these security issues. I don't think they're, for instance, a lot of cities have sort of a park docent, if you will, or a kind of a park ranger in some of their parks, just to keep things on the up and up. And we don't really have a system like that here, and so that might be something that we recommend. The master plan, as you know, it doesn't make law, it just makes recommendations. So recommendations for park safety will be in there.
Any other questions? Commissioner Fisher and Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, gentlemen. Good presentation. Is there a reason that we omitted Copper Mountain Park? I haven't seen nothing about Copper Mountain Park.
Commissioner
Mr.
Fisher,
Lazary?
it is part of the inventory. It just was not reflected on, we didn't show every park, but it is on there.
Okay. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you very much. I didn't hear you mention it, and I was kind of curious because it is kind of a one-of-a-kind. In my district, there's a small little, I think it was one of the former tot lots, but it got turned into a community garden. Was there anything in your reporting that reflected the community gardens?
Yes.
Mr. Lazary?
Commissioner Anderson, thank you, Madam Chair. So that was reflected in the special use area. But it is listed part in there.
Commissioner Anderson.
And just out of curiosity, I know at one point there was quite a large waiting list to get on at the one over here. Is that still the case? And are there any plans to, or need that you could see through the surveys and everything for
Correct.
more of those areas?
Director Lazary.
Commissioner Anderson. So are you asking is there more space for public gardens over there?
Well, not necessarily right over there, but just throughout the community. I know there's a lot of different properties that Silverboard County owns, and some other areas where I think that these gardens could be beneficial, if that was still something that the people were asking for and asking about. I know that I believe the one near my place has 12 plots, if I remember correctly, and there was about an 18-person waiting list to get one of those. And so I was just wondering if that was still the case, if they're still being utilized, and if so, how much they were being utilized, and if it was something that you guys, if this master plan was looking into some of those more special areas like that.
Mr. Lasry?
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. So, so our department doesn't actually manage that property and or the gardens. There's a group that does it, and so I think, I'll be honest, I wasn't aware there was 18 people that wanted to be part of that. I can contact Julie Bushmaker, she's the head of that over there. But I think, if people were concerned about that, that's that online survey. We ask people, specifically, what would you like? I haven't looked at all the responses yet, but that's a great question. I know in other communities, these community gardens are a big deal, and I think that's why you're seeing that an 18-person waiting list. That's my guess anyway.
Okay. Any other questions for these gentlemen? Oh, Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you guys for the presentation. Just whoever could answer this question regarding, so the last time we had a survey or a study in 8 to now, we're not restarting, are we? I mean, our trail system's being done, right? I mean, we don't need to go on about that. We know our parks need to be maintained. We know we need money. And please don't think I'm saying that you guys, I know we need to refresh this all the time because the plan goes away. We need a new plan, but I just hope we're not restarting over from 08. And I hope some of 08 stuff is like taken stronger now. If you know what I'm saying. I'm blabbing for a second. Also, the trail system versus the parks is parks are parks, trails are trails. Should there be a master plan for the trails? Could you explain, help me on, how the parks intertwine, because the trails end up in the parks, or to me, we have a great trail system here. It's already being done, is that I can see, right? So, how do they intertwine, if you will? And thank you.
Mr. Lasry?
Madam Chair, Commissioner O'Neill, thank you for that question. So I think in a perfect world, these trails would start and begin at all these parks. I mean, that'd be the best trailhead we could have. Part of the Maptionnaire that was part of this plan, we had people that could draw lines where they'd like to see these trails go. And that's what they want, trails connected. I think in 2008, that plan showed the same thing, kind of reinforces that. This master plan, there's a couple of reasons why we do it. One is, when we look for funding as far as grants, a lot of these grants require a new park plan in place. It allows us to request more funding. Our trail systems have, since 2008 till now, there's more trails, but I think we're still losing the connection to trails. We have bits of trails that are this far, we're almost connected. So I don't think it's a redundant report by any means. I think it's a continuation of it, but it kind of reinforces some of those ideas before. I think if you talk to JP, he took that off the shelf the first day he came on the job, because I started at the same time, and he used that as a roadmap. Without following that, we probably wouldn't have Ridge Waters. Without Ridge Waters, I don't know if we have, if Stoughton Park is what it is today. So these plans are important, so I guess I hope that answers some of your questions.
Okay. Commissioner Menkins and then Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you again for the presentation. It's always nice to revisit and to continue to grow with this project moving forward. I just want to touch on what Commissioner Shea and a few of us said with the upkeep within the park also, that a lot of that equipment is old, and we have to really look at that to make sure that we are on the safety features and the newest and best. I know that the parks that we've had as of late are the best, and I'm out there every day, 5 days, 6 days a week at, Stodden and some other ones that's the best equipment, but we'd like to see that possibly at those other parks too, if that is something that's, and I know that you guys are looking at that, but I know that that's what the public also, not everyone can go down, or it gets so busy at Stodden now that, these other parks are kind of being left out, but they are actually being used, but just making sure that they're up to par. So thanks again for what you're doing, for sure. Thanks.
Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, gentlemen, for the great presentation. I love all these master plans. They're so exciting. They really give you something to look forward to in the future. Would you mention, just because it wasn't mentioned during this, and I'm sure that has come up, but would you just mention on the record tonight for the public that might be listening and not in attendance, is there anything, was there any mention about additional dog parks?
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
it's on you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shea. Yes, that was actually one of the questions that we asked in the detailed online survey, and it came up number 6 out of maybe 20 different options, and the users could choose, I think, 5 options, and so dog parks did come up, and so we'll be looking at that.
All right. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Chairman Shaw. Thank you for the presentation. One more question. Father Sheehan Park, you mentioned. Something I brought up a couple weeks ago, and we had quite a bit of discussion in our Economic Development Committee, and that was fixing up the baseball fields and a lot of the baseball facilities at Father Sheehan Park. Is that something that you're addressing, and how so? What all can you tell me about Father Sheehan Park and those baseball facilities? I know that there was a lot of parents who were concerned about the shape that they were in. I know that the community enrichment through the mill levy grant we donated some money towards that, and it was my contention that that should be through the Parks Department, but I'm happy that some of the money did go there. It's a worthwhile cause, but what all are the plans moving forward with that area, and how is that going to shape up with this master plan?
Mr. Lazar.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. So last year about this time, I met with Michelle Shea, and she had a group, and we discussed pretty much in detail Father Sheehan Park. That location gives us some pretty unique challenges. In that area down there, there's no storm drains. The storm drain plan is for it to go down through the park. The storm water races down through the streets, and the plan is for it to race through the park. With that said, the water levels is high there. You can dig a hole 8 inches deep, go back the next day, it's full of water. We also had trouble watering because our wells kept going dry, so it seems kind of working against each other, but we had that problem. Worked with Michelle Shea, J.P. Gallagher, working with Mark Neary, and Danette. We secured funding, and we are working on the irrigation part of it right now. We're offline right now from the wells, and we are using the Silverboard water, so we have a better irrigation system now. We're still working on that. The other problem is, with all the water pressure, if you walk through that park, you look at the fence lines, you look at the bleachers, the parking lot, the tennis courts especially, you can see where the water is just breaking everything, raising it. It's a problem area. Not the whole park, but a lot of it. And I think, people are disappointed on some of the stuff, but I think this irrigation is a step in the right direction. All this, funding helps fix all these problems. But talking to that group, they're interested in helping fix that too. That they understood that, I thought. Didn't you think that, Commissioner Shea, when we met? So it is being addressed, and I think in this report, if you look at that heat map, there were a lot of comments on Father Sheehan Park. And so I think we'll see exactly what, the public thinks the needs are. And again, this plan is the public's plan. We're just getting the input, and we hope we can address it, problems or, the wants and needs that they have.
Follow up, Commissioner Shea?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Director Lazary. It was a very productive meeting last year, and I appreciate that, all the work that you and Director Neary have put into making improvements and with the leadership of the Chief Executive. My question, super short, is would it be possible for us to get a copy of the PowerPoint on the council?
Of course.
Okay, thanks. I just want to be able to read that spreadsheet that was so tiny.
I can,
Stephen?
yes, I can get you a copy of the full spreadsheet if you'd like it. So,
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
I can't wait for the rollout in June. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, excuse me, Commissioner Thatcher, you
You're-
speaked up on me.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I just want to make a point of clarification for the record. Commissioner Anderson said that the money came from the Community Enrichment Department. It actually came from the Economic Development Mill. So I just want to make that point of clarification. Thank
okay.
you.
Thanks for the clarification. Anybody else care to speak? Commissioner Frederickson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say thank you, guys. You presented to the Parks Board, and I loved, it was a great presentation, and so thanks again, and yeah, looking forward to seeing the final report, and yeah, those spreadsheets, if anyone else wants them, they gave them to all of us at the Parks Board meeting, so if anyone else, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, it's
Talking about spreadsheet.
yeah, but yeah, thanks, and thanks, Director Lazary. Appreciate it.
Okay, with that, thank you, gentlemen. Like I say, I'm looking forward to June, and we'll see you then. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the second presentation is item 2, communication number 2022-206. John Rolish, RS Environmental Health Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization for time on the May 11th, 2022 Committee of the Whole Council of Commissioners meeting to conduct a presentation on the Butte-Silver Wildfire Smoke Readiness Plan. And we have Jackie and Jenna.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners, for letting us be here tonight. Our presentation isn't up yet, but while we're waiting, I am Jenna Fisher. I'm a sanitarian down at the Health Department here. This is Alex Dubois. She's a member of our smoke team. She is the Director of Communication and Outreach for the Butte 4Cs, which is a child care resource and referral agency here in Butte. So we are going to talk to you a little bit about what we've been working on at the Health Department. So Butte-Silver is a smoke-ready community. This is just kind of a list of some things we will cover in our presentation tonight. The Butte-Silver Smoke Readiness Team. So back in February of 2021, EPA reached out to John about a research project they're working on for smoke-ready communities. We are one of two communities nationwide working on this. Our first, oh gosh, sorry, just give me one sec. The first thing we did to bring this plan together was develop a team. We brought together air quality experts as well as key stakeholders in our community. We met through a series of workshops, which included the first half was all education, and the second half we actually started writing the plan. Okay. So this is a list of our smoke team. I think in the documents John and Jackie gave you, you will find a more clear list of this. So the purpose and goals of the plan, I think we're all aware we've seen a significant increase in wildfires in Montana and, of course, nationwide. Additional action is needed to protect our community. Here, we wanted to create a plan that outlines strategies and implement them before, during, and after a wildfire smoke event. Another important part of it was, how are we going to effectively communicate the adverse health effects? How are we going to define vulnerable populations? And what are the strategies we're going to use to reduce smoke exposure? So Alex, you just push that one. Yeah, if you go too far.
So I'm going to just talk a little bit about the trends in wildfire and smoke events. Obviously, you can see the graph over on the side showing the total wildfire acres in the U.S. burnt from 1985 to 2021. So by 2021, almost 7 million acres were burned in the U.S., excluding Alaska. The acres burned each year depends on, obviously, the winter, the snowpack, the summer rains, droughts, and et cetera. But overall, the frequency and intensity of large-scale wildfires is increasing and is expected to continue for the foreseeable future. Locally and nationally, we're seeing larger fires, longer fire seasons, and fires that burn with more intensity, generating more smoke. High-pressure weather systems lead to high temperatures and low humidity, causing rapid drying of wildfire fuels, and then force upper-level winds into a southwest to northwest pattern, carrying wildfire smoke from California, Oregon, and Nevada. So we're getting smoke not just from our own fires, but kind of, as we have seen, fires that are not even in the state. So kind of our local history and future risk. There has been a significant pine beetle outbreak in the Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest, which has added significant fuel source. The deadfall has created a continuous path for fires to spread. And then opening of the canopy has allowed grass and forbs to fill in the forest floors. So that continuous fuel bed of down logs is resistant to suppression from firefighters and natural events such as rainfall or humidity, which allows the fires to burn later into the year. And then this just shows, obviously locally, the total acres burned between 1994 and 2021. Again, each year it varies depending on snowfall and rainfall, but it's definitely increasing. And then this graph shows Montana total acres burned 1994 to 2021. Again, just like our local forest, there is an increase.
Alrighty, so why is wildfire smoke bad for us? Wildfire smoke is made up of many components: particulate matter, carbon monoxide, VOCs, trace gases, metals, and even ozone. PM 2.5, that's our major concern here and is the focus of monitoring. That's what we monitor for regular national air quality standards, as well as our focus during wildfire season. This graph here, you can kind of see the little red dots up there. That's how small the particulate matter is. That is our greatest concern. It's a concern because it travels deep into the lungs, whereas particulate that's bigger, we're able to cough that up. We're able to maybe blow it out of our nose, where PM 2.5, we inhale it, goes deep into the lung. It can cause some damage. I think we're all aware of, our eyes start to burn, our throat starts to scratch. But other things reduce lung function, worsening of asthma or other respiratory conditions, cardiovascular function. There's just a whole slew of issues that can come along with exposure to wildfire smoke. So an important part of our plan here was to outline our vulnerable populations. These are referred to as vulnerable populations, priority groups, sensitive groups. So while we're all affected by wildfire smoke, people in these categories are especially at risk for complications. Throughout our plan, we have listed here on the side our focus and our priority groups. These include people with asthma, COPD, other respiratory conditions, people with heart disease, pregnant women, older adults, children, low income and homeless, and outdoor workers. So how vulnerable is Butte-Silver Bow? I was hoping this showed up a little bit bigger, but here we have a total population of almost 35,000 people. 20.1% are under the age of 18, 6% of those are under the age of 5, and 18.7% are 65 or older. 19.1% of the population is living in poverty or is homeless, and over 39% of our population suffers from 3 or more chronic health conditions, and 33.4% suffer from a respiratory disease, and 23.9% of that is asthma alone. So here and 4.3% of adults have a heart condition. So looking at these numbers, we can see we are a very vulnerable population. Some other challenges we face in Butte-Silver Bow, we don't have air conditioning in most of our homes. In the winter or in the summer, we open the windows, we open the doors, and we've seen how smoky it has been the last couple summers. Old buildings equal old HVAC systems. Typically, in building plans, a MERV 8 filter is what's required. Studies have shown that to filter particulate, like we see in wildfire smoke, MERV 13 is what would be required. And you can't kind of just throw in a MERV 13, you kind of have to update your whole HVAC system to make sure it's capable of using that strong of a filter. We also don't have a designated clean air shelter, and I don't think this is something we have realized we had a need for. Larger cities do have air shelters or cooling shelters. I know even at the health department last year, we received a couple calls wondering about cooling centers. You know, where can people go to cool down? So our summers are getting hotter a little bit longer maybe, but so we do have some other issues here. This graph here, we did a kind of an indoor air quality study with Montana Tech during last summer. You can kind of see on the chart there, what we did is we took a couple establishments that some of our vulnerable population live, and we put an air monitor outside, and we took 2 rooms identical in size and put an air monitor in each of those rooms. On smoky days, this would be considered in the moderate range or higher. We would run the filter and switch between the rooms. You can just see the comparisons here on an outside, and this is just an average of 10 days that this project was going. So the outside is 72.6 micrograms per cubic meter, where the filter not in the room was still at 56 microgram per cubic meter. And I think later on we'll show you some graphs, and 56.6 is in the moderate or close to unhealthy for sensitive group range. So this, we hope to do more studies like this. We did this with one of the graduate students up at Tech, so we were just kind of helping where he has most of the information. So what can we do? I think a lot of times when we think about wildfire smoke, we think there's really not much we can do. So with this plan, we hope to educate our community, to communicate with our community, and be air aware and prepared. Our current response for wildfire smoke, we monitor our Today's Air page. This is a page that DEQ puts out that shows real-time air concentration. We update our reader board at the health department. I'm sure you guys have all seen that before. DEQ puts out some alerts sometimes in the summer. We contact the media if we are planning to call an alert or if DEQ calls an alert. And we also share information on our Facebook page. This is our air station down at the Greeley School, and this is the map of Montana. Is if you've ever been on Today's Air website, this is kind of what it looks like when you get on there, and each of the dots are the communities that have a reporting air shelter. Part of our current response right now is providing information to the public, so this isn't something new. We just kind of hope to dive in a little deeper. The main point, we tell people stay inside. So a lot of focus on this plan is to educate people about clean indoor air. We advise them to purchase an air cleaner, maybe make an air cleaner. We do have some handouts. It's pretty easy to make a do-it-yourself one. And we, of course, tell them to check Air Now or check today's Air website. This document here is an outdoor guidance document that we used for quite a while that has some really good information, so we do still plan to incorporate that into our future response. So AQI, nowcast, micrograms per cubic meter. You know, what does this all mean? And this is a big part of the education piece. I think we've all seen on our phone, yeah, especially last summer when it was smoky, we'll maybe get an air alert. We'll see on the news that other snip that's right below that. Those are reporting an AQI, so that's air quality index. A bunch of things I just talked about were nowcast, micrograms per cubic meter. On that today's Air website, when you click into our little dot here in Butte-Silver, it pulls up this this thing here that shows the concentration. So a big part of this is just educating. These numbers essentially can be the same. They all use color, so we're going to kind of focus here on color. So AQI versus nowcast. AQI has been used by EPA since 1976. The number scale ranges from 0 to 500. It contains a statement regarding a health effect for each category within those numbers. AQI covers 5 regulated pollutants, and it is a 24-hour index for particulate. Metro areas are required to report the daily AQI, so this might be more to places that see a lot of pollution due to other sources than wildfire smoke. But news, radios, websites, you'll see AQI a lot. The nowcast concentration, it's particulate matter only, that PM 2.5, like I mentioned earlier, but it also issues a statement regarding health effects for each category. It's what we use at the local level to decide, you know, do we call an air alert? You know, what kind of information are we going to put out? And an algorithm is used to convert that microgram per cubic meter to an AQI value. So our focus here, here's a little chart that, you know, their differences. The similarities are they both use color-coded categories and they both contain a statement regarding health effects. So the main goal is to spread awareness and educate based on the readings. You know, are you a sensitive group? When you look into those colors, it's gonna say unhealthy for sensitive groups. And this doesn't matter if it's AQI or the nowcast reading. It's what we're gonna use to make decisions as a smoke team. You know, what kind of information are we gonna put out based on the reading that day? You know, is it a day where we're just gonna focus on our sensitive groups, or is this something we need to put to the public in general?
And here you go. Okay, so we learned all of the things from the experts and got together, wrote our plan. Okay, how are we going to implement the plan? Obviously, we're going to provide education because, like Jenna said, we don't always think about indoor air not being clean or those sorts of things. We are going to identify the stakeholders that can help share out the information, so nursing homes, the homeless shelter, all of the important stakeholders. Work on building relationships, and then why? Well, we want a resource for decision-making when it comes to air quality and health, and then set a criteria for action. So communication stakeholders groups, these are kind of our list of our groups that we want to work on communicating to. So obviously like our local leaders, the media, we want to talk and communicate with local events so that they can make informed decisions, homeless and low-income population, childcare providers, schools, nursing homes, hospitals, doctors' offices, outdoor workers, pregnant women, and families with young children. Overall, our key messages are wildfire smoke is not good for anybody's health. You can reduce your exposure from wildfire smoke. Certain populations are more vulnerable to the health effects of wildfire smoke. The negative health effects include asthma exacerbation, reduced lung function, bronchitis, heart failure, persistent coughing, so on and so forth. And then during a wildfire smoke event, follow the guidance in the action plan below based on your risk factor and current AQI reading in your area. And then obviously we always want to have where you can find more information. We have a page up on the Butte-Silver website. There's lots of great information there. And then I think you guys were all handed the action sheet. It's that color-coded guy. Tell me when it's yours. Methods for communicating key messages. So the Butte-Silver Health Department has led this work, so they're gonna work on spreading the message on their website, the electronic message board, all social media, working with local media, TV, radio, going into the hospitals, using emergency communication systems, call lists, webinars, brochures, one-pagers, and then continuing to work with our local smoke team to disseminate the information out to the community.
I'm just going to jump in here really quick. Deciding how we're going to distribute our messages was a big part of the plan here. We had some experts, you know, we think communication is easy, but there's actually a lot that goes into it. Of course, we're not going to get information to our elderly population the same way we're going to get it to our homeless population. So when we were building our team, those were the types of stakeholders we were looking for. Like Alex, she represents childcare facilities. We have Joe Gilboy, who represents the aging services. But distributing these messages, you know, newspaper, social media, news, you know, for certain populations we're trying to reach. Our homeless population, you know, we're not expecting to reach them through media the same way we would expect to reach other members of our vulnerable populations. So with our low income, with our homeless, we have partnered with the Butte Rescue Mission, with the Food Bank, with Action Inc., and hopefully our goal is to just be able to get the information everywhere it needs to be in an easy fashion.
Thank you. Yeah. So our action plan. So we kind of broke it up into pre-fire season, during the wildfire season, and post-fire season. It definitely takes the whole year to communicate and continue to educate everybody in the community. So pre-fire season, we do kind of the outreach, education, PSAs, website updates. During the wildfire season, we want those key messages, alerts sent, updating the reader board at the health department. Oh. Do you want me to just skip it? There. Okay, pre-fire season. Sorry, I should have reviewed the PowerPoint apparently. So yes, community meetings is a great way that we're going to do the pre-fire season, just to continue to educate people. Having some events and then PSAs. We've kind of already started working on that a little bit. We did some radio remote and news stories, so that's super exciting. And then, yes, the updating the website, distribute printed materials, and then building out our contact list. During the wildfire season, that's when we're really going to distribute the key messages through our media outlets, whether that's social media, the reader board, one-pagers. Again, it depends on the audience that we're trying to reach. Even cleaning up procedures for ash and dust, you don't even think about that, but it's important. And then provide information for mental health services. And here is, are we missing part of it?
No, I think you guys have a big printout of this. We weren't sure we were going to have those done prior to this. So this just kind of shows, and how I talked about AQI versus PM 2.5. They're both listed here in the color-coded area, and this just kind of gives us a guide. How are we going to move forward? What action are we going to take when we reach one of these levels here? And when we say what action we're going to take, this is, this isn't any requirements of our community members. This is just putting out information, letting the public know, how they can protect themselves, things like that. And as you read through that, you can see kind of what those action items are.
So post-wildfire season, reviewing all of our resource usage, evaluating our reach and content of the plan, and then we want to do some community surveys, of course, because you always want that feedback loop. And then just, we want to have our plan be up to date. I mean, it's going to be a working document. It's not set in stone. It's a learning experience, so continuing that feedback.
So the future of smoke readiness, we are looking at enhanced air monitoring. We bought some purple air monitors, like I kind of mentioned, in the indoor air study we did with Montana Tech, but currently we just have our Greeley air station there. So we have the purple air monitors. We're looking at maybe putting those, putting one at the Melrose area, maybe the school there, the Ramsey School, north of Butte, south of Butte, just to get a better understanding of what actually the air quality looks like here in Butte-Silver. We are really excited to partner with Montana Tech to hopefully do some more of those studies like we did. They do quite a bit of work with air quality, so we are excited about that. The clean air shelter, like I mentioned earlier, the clean air shelter is kind of a long-term goal. This is not something we are expecting to happen quick, but I mean, there's always a chance we can get some things together, but that's kind of in phase 2 of our project here. Another resource we're really excited or hoping that we are able to do is the ability to provide air cleaners to the public, especially our sensitive groups. John presented this PowerPoint a couple weeks ago, and at the very first time, we may have a donor interested in helping us put on this program for this fire season. So that would be something we would be really excited to be able to do. But if not this year, it's definitely in our plans for next year. And do you guys have any questions?
Thank you, ladies. And I was at Board of Health meeting at 7 o'clock this morning, and I got to see this presentation, and I was so impressed by this whole idea of being proactive, and the fire season is not going to get better. At first, it was like, this is just a glitch, but it's definitely on the upscale. So thank you for all your work, and we need to take it serious, and I appreciate that.
Yes,
Any questions?
thanks, Madam
Commissioner
Chair.
Thatcher and anybody else? Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm all for giving credit where credit is due, and I saw my name up there, and I just want to make it very clear that none of that credit goes to me. I've only attended very few meetings, so I want to make it very clear that I very much appreciate all of your guys' work, and this is a fantastic presentation, so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thatcher, but we do appreciate your input, even if it was in the beginning, it made a difference. So we will continue to include you on the list.
And I made sure I thanked you for your participation this morning at the Board of Health meeting, so. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation. It was really wonderful, very informative. My question is, have you identified a building in Butte that could be retrofitted as a clean air shelter, or would it require new construction? Maybe you could just expand on that just a little bit.
Jenna?
Sure, thank you. Thank you for the question. Our first thought was looking at the Civic Center. Diving into that, it seems like that's going to be a bigger project than we're probably capable of right now, but they are aware of it, so it has came up. I think in the near future, we're looking at maybe smaller areas, smaller places that we might be able to, I mean, I think a lot goes into it, and this is something we haven't quite figured out yet, but how do we ensure this is a clean airspace? How do we test their HVAC system? Do we have to do, that air sampling on the facility before we designate a clean air shelter? In other communities, it's pretty popular to see clean air shelters, so I think that information is out there. I think with the rollout of this plan and just it being brand new this year, it wasn't an avenue we could fully explore for this year.
Director Rolich, I knew you were going to have to talk. I told you.
I can add a little bit of information on this. After the Board of Health meeting, Julie Hart with Montana Tech is a board member of the health department. And they are in the process, and we're going to set up a meeting to talk about, they have some grants that they're looking at and projects on looking at smaller clean indoor air shelters. So we're just in the preliminary stages of that. So that's really exciting right now that Julie came after the meeting this morning to talk about that. But as Jenna said, we've kind of looked at it with Jim Merrifield from DES. Also, John Sullivan was talking about the Civic Center. Of course, the Civic Center is used for all our emergency shelters. And right now, the HVAC system in there is not adequate for looking at the prospect of, you know, when we had the pandemic, if we had to use that shelter as a MASH area. And so, I mean, that's one we're looking at too, is the Civic Center. But what's really encouraging about this is teaming up with Montana Tech, looking at some other smaller areas, buildings in our community. They don't need to be public buildings either. They can be privately owned buildings that can be used, that have more modern systems already developed. And would it be easier to retrofit these buildings and have smaller shelters? So that's in the preliminary stages, but it's exciting. We were so fortunate to have Montana Tech as a partner. They provide a lot of great resources for us. So thank you.
Commissioner Surich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess this is for Mr. Rolich. John, I guess it's the million-dollar question. Do you know, you're talking about, you know, challenges and challenges in the future. Do you see the air monitoring station being so close, you know, if it's really being so close to the Montana resource and supposed dust? Do you see that as one of the challenges?
Director Rolich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I mean, as you know, kind of a totally different subject right now. There is massive studies going on the Greeley area on everything from TPSs, total suspended particulates, all the way down to PM10 and PM2.5. You know, that can be added. I mean, I mean, usually with wildfires, it just increases the problems with air quality. So, but the good news is, I mean, on this too, is like Jenna mentioned on the increased monitoring. You know, when we have wildfires from California, Oregon, I mean, it envelops the whole valley. But localized ones, we may have poor air quality in our county in Melrose or Divide, or even south of Butte and north of Butte. We could have pristine air quality. So having an enhanced monitoring network where people could go on and actually kind of see where approximately they live to determine what type of air quality they have is critical also.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Did you like, come on up.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Jackie Thompson. I'm the lead sanitarian on the project. First, I want to say thank you to my teammates and colleagues, Jenna, John, and Alex, for doing the wonderful presentation. I was just joking around saying it's hard to sit there and watch people do the presentation. I was presenting from my chair. But I just wanted to bring up a couple topics in regards to Commissioner Shea's question about clean air shelter. One thing that we've really been working on is we've been working with the EPA team of Office of Research and Development out of North Carolina on this project, and they have been extremely helpful in sending potential grant opportunities our way for upcoming things that we might be able to do with this smoke plant. So we have that as well. And then I also wanted to kind of go over some of the things that we handed out to you guys today. So the booklet is the full final draft of our smoke plan for you all. It's got multiple appendices with more information that's not included in the plan. And then the folder has, first off, my business cards. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, please just feel free to email me or give me a call. And then it also has some one-pagers and handouts that we have gotten from the EPA, as well as your wildfire smoke readiness brochure that we're hoping to distribute to the public here very soon. That was created by our office, and we're hoping that some of these handouts that you see in front of you will be a good communication tool for us to use to reach out to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Okay. Well, thank you again for the presentation, and we don't look forward to wildfires, but we hope to be prepared. How's that? Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to our last presentation. This is communication number 2022-211. Leslie Clark, Human Resource Director, requesting Council Commissioners' authorization for time on tonight's meeting to conduct a presentation on the July 1st, 2022 Butte-Silver Health Insurance Renewal. It's that time again. I can't believe it. Thank you. Director Clark.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank all of the Council of Commissioners, Madam Chair, Chief Executive Gallagher, for entertaining our information for this evening. I guess we saved the best for last. So, just to preface our presentation today, we all know where we were 2 years ago from today. We were in the middle or the start of a worldwide pandemic. The Council of Commissioners was trying to operate their weekly meetings on WebEx. And I remember doing our health insurance presentation at that time, and Danette and I were kind of huddled together in her office because she was the only one that had a camera on her computer because I didn't. So it was quite the process. Also at that time, our health insurance plan for Butte-Silver was experiencing a crisis. And so that presentation and that year going forward definitely wasn't any fun for our office, nor was it any fun for our employees and their families. 1 year ago, the city and county of Butte-Silver made the decision to completely redesign our health insurance plan. And a year later, I'm happy to inform you that that was the right decision at that time. And that decision has put us on a path to achieve all the goals and objectives, all the wishes, wants, and desires that we had been wanting to achieve way back into 2018. Some of those goals and objectives, those wants, desires, and wishes that we had put in place back in 2019 were we wanted to be able to offer more choice to our employees that would better fit their medical needs and their financial means. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we had one traditional health insurance plan. A couple years later, we added a $3,000 high deductible health insurance plan. And then last year, we were able to add a $5,000 high deductible health insurance plan. One of our other goals was that we wanted to offer or add an additional tier of coverage, which is standard to most plans nationwide. We had a plan whereby we had employee-only coverage, employee plus one coverage, or family coverage. And so when we redesigned the plan a year ago, we were able to add that fourth tier. So now we have employee-only, employee plus spouse, employee plus child or children, no matter how many children you have, and family coverage. And then one of the other major objectives that we were able to achieve at that time was to improve the premium spread between those tiers of coverage to make it more equitable for all of our employees and to be more in line with industry standards. When we started to put this plan together, there was hardly a difference in premium cost for family coverage down to employee plus one coverage. So we were able to apply those standards, those industry standards, and come up with a more equitable plan. Oops. So we viewed last year as a great success. We had an extremely smooth transition from Allegiance to Blue Cross. Of course, there were some bumps in the road and some hiccups along the way, but overall, we were able to move forward to resolve those issues and continue down the path of improving our health insurance coverage for our employees and their families. We've gotten great feedback with employee satisfaction at a high level. We've had very few issues, very few problems, very few complaints, and I think for the first time, we've received some compliments on our insurance coverage. Another great success with this plan is that we have a 79% loss ratio, allowing us to add this year alone through the end of March approximately $500,000 to the reserve account. And right now we are maintaining a very healthy reserve account balance. So what that means is with all of the premiums contributed by the employer and by the employees, we add those together, and based on those premiums contributions, we are allowed or committing, I guess, 21% of those premiums to our health reserve fund. Getting ahead of myself here. Another positive this year is that our enrollment in our plans has gone up significantly since we implemented the new plan. Right now, you can see we have 79 employees enrolled in the traditional $1,000 deductible plan, 56 employees and their families enrolled in the $3,000 high deductible plan, and $5,000 plan, we have 23 enrollees in that. We do have quite a few new employees this year who have been happy with the enrollment or, with the coverage provided as part of their enrollment. And we've had some employees in the past that have been on their spouses' coverages through places like St. James, Montana Tech, who have kind of migrated over or back to our coverage, increasing our enrollment. So for today, our objective is the same as it was last year. We want to provide an affordable health benefit plan that fits the needs of our employees and their families without reducing any benefits. So when we went out for renewal this year with Lori Farron, who was our benefits consultant with Payne West, she was able to obtain from Blue Cross Blue Shield some preliminary numbers of what our plan renewal might look like for this year. And basically, they were offering a 0% increase in the third-party administration of the plan. Those are for things like enrolling people, terminating people, processing claims, making payments, those types of things. And then they were able to offer us a $25,000 wellness incentive bonus that they like to provide to employers who are providing active well-being or wellness programs for their employees. So in looking at that, we thought, do we really want to go out and look at any other third-party providers at this time? We had put our employees for the last 2, 3, 4 years through the ringer, I think, with changes that we've been making to the insurance plan. And so at that point, we chose not to look anywhere else at that point, and we were happy with the preliminary renewal rates from Blue Cross Blue Shield. Lori from Payne West continues to negotiate even after receiving that quote from Blue Cross Blue Shield. And just this week, we were offered a renewal credit of approximately $12,000 to add to our plan reserves. That $12,000 is made up of $1 per employee per month off the administration fees and 1% off the stop-loss premium. So even after having received the quote and we've set our budget and everything, she continues to negotiate for us to obtain even better pricing than what she did a week ago or a month ago. And like I said, one of the reasons we chose not to look anywhere else is because between setting up online enrollments and changing insurance coverages and pharmacy benefit managers and all of that through the last few years, we felt it was time to give our employees a break and to maintain the coverage that we currently have without making any major changes to that and creating issues for them. And then, of course, we also looked at how contented our employees and how they appeared to be with our health insurance program and our current coverage. And we felt that was a good sign going forward there. The next question is, what about stop-loss insurance coverage? Stop-loss insurance coverage is the largest part of our overall premium to our health insurance plan. And as you may be aware, what stop-loss insurance coverage is, it's umbrella-type coverage on top of our insurance. So being a self-funded plan, our employees and our employer contribute the premiums to the reserve account, and as claims come in, those claims are paid out of that reserve account. But the issue comes up is what happens if we have a huge claim? You know, you can run up easily a $2 or $3 million claim in a short period of time. So to prevent and to protect our reserve fund, we purchased what is called stop-loss insurance. And that's umbrella coverage on top of our regular insurance. So basically, when we looked at our renewal for this year, we definitely wanted to go out and market the stop-loss insurance coverage. So Laureate Payne West marketed to 12 stop-loss providers. TMHC, which we have used before, was definitely the most competitive in providing that stop-loss insurance coverage. Blue Cross Blue Shield came in at a higher rate, but when they were presented with what TMHC provided us, they matched their proposal. And that is who we are currently with, is Blue Cross Blue Shield. This provides us an administrative ease in our program in that all of our plans are bundled with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And by remaining with Blue Cross Blue Shield for our stop-loss insurance coverage, we can continue that ease in administration of the plan. So as a committee, the Butte-Silver Health Insurance Committee, the recommendation was to go with or remain with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Now for the good part, I guess. We have the three plans. This slide shows the $1,000 deductible plan, the $3,000 deductible plan. You can see what our current rates are, what our new rates are for July 1st of '22, and what that percentage means in terms of the increase. What we did is when we put together our budget for the plan, we added $40 to the $1,000 deductible plan. $40 a month is what the increase will be for that plan. For the $3,000 deductible plan, we added $20 a month. We felt we were being probably a little more conservative than some people might want us to be, but it is a very, very minimal increase, especially when you consider that you're paying that premium with pre-tax dollars. So really, your bottom line is you're probably spending about 2/3 of that $40 or 2/3 of that $20. And then the $5,000 deductible plan, the current rates, what the new rates are, and there are no changes to that plan. One of our goals in establishing the three different plans is to possibly persuade our people to redirect to some of the high deductible health plans. And in doing so, by adding the $40 increase to the $1,000 plan and the $20 to the middle plan, it's helping to start increasing the spread between the three plans that we offer. We could have done it all at once when we implemented these plans, but we were afraid to take the risk at how many people might migrate off of the traditional plan onto those plans. So we've been doing it kind of at a slower rate to encourage people to at least consider selecting those plans. Now I'm going to turn it over to Teresa, and she's just going to go over some of the health benefits as a reminder. What I passed out today, of course, is a copy of the presentation, and then our booklet for this year for our renewal, which covers not only our health insurance, but all of our supplementary programs, AFLAC programs, life insurance programs, all of that, flex, health spending accounts. So I'll turn it over to Teresa quick. Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
Thank you.
Teresa.
So yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. I could actually do this very quickly. There are no changes to the benefits that we offer. Our health insurance this year has a really good benefit program. Our traditional plan with a $1,000 deductible is not a super high dollar amount, and if you go to the doctor frequently, you get those $20 office visits, and that is very helpful for somebody who has continuing health problems. Even if you do have a really bad day on that traditional plan, the most that you're going to pay for that is $2,500. So that includes your $1,000 deductible plus an additional $1,500. It's actually one of the lowest deductible and lowest out-of-pocket plans that in the area for employers in the area. So it just has a bunch of additional benefits built into it. It's just overall a great plan. But our high deductible plans are really well, they're really good as well. They're traditional high deductible plans, so when you get sick and you go to the doctor, you pay what the health insurance says you have to pay for that visit. If you're not sick and you go to the doctor as a preventive visit, the health insurance covers it 100%. If you take preventive medications to stay healthy, things like blood pressure medication or cholesterol medication or depression, antidepressant, diabetes, there's a whole list of health concerns that we consider preventive. And all of those are covered at 100% as well. So you really don't pay anything for your coverage unless you get sick, other than your premiums. So it's good benefits, and there really is no change to the health benefits. Prescription benefits, same thing, there's no change. There is no deductible for prescription benefits. If you're on the traditional plan, you pay a tier level based on how expensive your prescription is when you fill it at the pharmacy. So if you take one of those super expensive, injectable drugs, or even those pills that cost thousands of dollars a month, on the traditional plan, the most you're going to pay for that prescription is $35 a month. And if you can get it mail order with a 90-day supply, you'll actually only pay for 2 months of that. So that traditional coverage on the prescription benefit on the traditional coverage is just really great. And then, of course, I mentioned on the high deductible health plans, the preventive screening benefits and the preventive medication benefits paid at 100%. Our plan, once again, is a bundle plan. Sorry, I have alarms going off. It is also dental and orthodontic benefits, as well as the health and prescription and vision benefits. Once again, there is no change to our benefits. It is still a fabulous dental plan. You can get your teeth cleaned and your x-rays for free. If you do have to get work done, you pay either 80 or 50% depending on what you're getting done, and it's a $50 deductible. So it's a very affordable health dental benefit. There is also an orthodontic benefit attached to that. If you have dependent children under the age of 25, your dependent kids can get braces. The plan will pay $1,500 for your dependent children's braces. If you yourself need braces, you have to pay for that all yourself. And then our vision benefits haven't changed either. We still pay 100% for your yearly vision exam. You can choose either glasses or contact lenses in one plan year, but not both. And you get a dollar amount for each of those those things that you choose. So if you use single vision lenses, the plan will pay up to $125 for a frame, $85 for your lenses. Anything over that, you pay the difference. In addition to the health benefits that we offer, we still have the additional services. We still are going to offer health savings accounts, flexible spending accounts, limited flexible spending accounts, dependent care flexible spending accounts. All of those are pre-tax dollars, so it really lets you pick the health plan that works best for you and the reimbursement account that works best for you. We also still have the Health Joy telemedicine, which lets you speak to a provider 24/7 for commonly treated health concerns or health conditions. If they can't help you over the phone, they will, refer you to a different provider. But it's a time saver for so many of our parents that have kids that get sick on Christmas morning, because no one's kids ever get sick when it's convenient. We also still offer our well-being program, and our well-being program provides incentives to the employees that participate. We did have over $300 worth of opportunity for employees to earn health savings account contributions just this year to contribute employer contributions. So 10% of your $3,000 deductible was actually paid for by Butte-Silver if you took those extra steps to participate in our well-being program. We also still continue to contract with Lori Farron's Payne West team for our administrative support, and our enrollments will continue to be through Employee Navigator. We start open enrollment meetings tomorrow, and I know you're all going to be there. We are doing 10 different open enrollment sessions this year. There's not a lot of changes, so it's going to take about an hour of your time. If you can come, that's great. If not, we did give you the book, so you can skip it, but you do still need to log on and do your enrollments. And open enrollment closes on May 31st, which gives us a month to make sure that our payroll office has everything taken care of for the first paycheck in July.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for Teresa or the Director Clark? Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate the presentation. So exciting to talk about health insurance, one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. Being that I'm on the plan, and I can ask you now, I don't have to bug you tomorrow, right? And I want to stay here till 10:30 tonight, so I'm pretty excited. The rates didn't go up, right? So when I look in the book, it says it's $1,800 a month. Is that not including the other part of it, or that's where I'm confused? So did the rates, the monthly rate did go up or it did not go up?
It depends on the plan that you chose.
On the $3,000 plan?
It went up $20 a month, each of the tier levels. Oh, I missed it.
Gotcha. So where I'm confused is when you look at it, it says $1,800, but I don't pay that much currently.
You're on the 3,000.
I'm on the 3,000.
You pay $1,629.14.
A month?
Yes. Except for the county pays $1,300.
Thank God. That's what I'm saying. It's not in the book.
No,
It's frightening. I was just panicking.
Okay, everybody, Director
Thank
questions
you.
through the chair, please.
I'm just like, no more cookies from Sadie anymore on Wednesdays.
And the reason we can't put it in the book is, we have to put the overall premiums in the book because we have so many different premium shares between the 20 union contracts that we have and then the non-union employees and the retirees and that. So we just put in the full premium. So you're safe. No heart attack, no.
Follow-up question, Commissioner O'Neill? No, okay. Anybody else have any questions? Commissioner Shea, anybody else? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions, but I just want to congratulate you guys. I know how hard you've worked on this, and I know it's been a long-term plan, and these long-term goals are finally coming to fruition, and I know that has to be very satisfying for you both. And I think you're both just doing a fabulous job. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you very much, Chairwoman Shaw. Thank you very much. I just want to say thank God for the stopgap limits, or otherwise that 500,000 would be gone, I'm sure, with myself alone. But the plan is wonderful. I have nothing but good things to say about it. Working with Blue Cross Blue Shield has been a pleasure. Working with all of you in HR has been a pleasure and just super easy. And I personally, I couldn't be happier. And the amount of work that you put into this over the last couple of years really shows how much more streamlined and everything is. So personally, speaking for myself, 2 thumbs up, kudos, all the praise in the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, it was not for the faint of heart.
It was not.
And to see you out here with big smiles, I thought, okay, that looks pretty promising. Thank you, ladies, for all your work. We appreciate that.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. All righty, we're on section 2, communications. Item 1 is communication number 2022-119, Mike Boyza, Carpenters Union Hall, requesting Council Commissioners authorization to relocate a boundary for the Carpenters Hall located at 156 West Granite. With this boundary relocation, you would give permission for us to build an elevator. This is held in abeyance. We do have a survey done, but it is sitting in land sales until we get their recommendation back to this body. Item 2 is communication number 2022-144, Mary Jo and Steve Stosich, citizens of Butte-Silver, requesting Council Commissioners reconsider allowing Mary Jo and Steve Stosich to purchase vacant Butte-Silver owned property identified as tax parcel number 472700, north of and adjacent to 60 Orofino Gulch Road. We will hold this in abeyance. It is also being reviewed by the Land Sales Committee. Item 3 is communication number 2022-145, Sean Frederickson, Commissioner District 1, requesting Council Commissioners provide its concurrence to have the City County of Butte-Silver, Montana, develop a resolution of intent to establish a C-PACE commercial property assessed capital enhancement program within Butte-Silver, authorized by Title 90, Chapter 4, Part 13, the PACE Act of the Montana Code annotated. I would also request that a public hearing be scheduled for April 27th, 2022. We did have that public hearing. I believe that it is now holding in abeyance, is in the County Attorney's Office, is my understanding. Or Commissioner Frederickson.
Well, I know that it was, the resolution of intent was on the judiciary agenda 2 weeks ago. Matt.
I think we were waiting, Chairwoman Shaw.
Commissioner Anderson.
We held that 2 weeks ago for the public hearing. That was 2 weeks ago, and then we moved it forward today.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you. So it was in judiciary. Thank you very much for that clarification. So we will continue holding that in abeyance until it comes before us for final motions. Item 4 is communication number 2022-153, Sean Frederickson, Commissioner District 1, and Eric Menkins, Commissioner District 9, requesting Chief Executive Gallagher to coordinate a presentation on the street maintenance fee for April 27th, 2022, to discuss assessing the fee per tax parcel or per unit. And as you recall, we did move that to next week's meeting. That would be on May 18th for that presentation. We will hold that in abeyance. Item 5 is communication number 2022-178, Bob Lazary, Parks and Recs Director, requesting Council Commissioners authorization for a time on the May 11th, 2022 Committee of the Whole Council of Commissioners meeting agenda to provide an informational presentation regarding the progress of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We did have that presentation this evening, so Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place communication 2022-178 on file.
Second.
We have a motion and, excuse me. Can you turn yours on so I can hear? I didn't hear what you said.
If everyone could shut their mics off before we transition screens, it will prevent it from making that really loud noise.
We're all turning our mics off.
Turn your mics off for a second,
Oh.
so I can transition. Otherwise,
Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Eric? Thank you. Would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
Motion passes. Moving on to item 6, this is communication number 2022-181. Carolina Ballou, Federal Superfund Section Supervisor, requesting Council Commissioners authorization for time on the May 4th, 2022 regular Council Commissioners meeting agenda for DEQ Project Officer Dave Bowers to discuss the ongoing construction activities and answer questions that the Council Commissioners may have. We did have that presentation last week. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place communication 2022-181 on file.
We have a motion and a second to place communication 2022-181 on file. Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
Motion passes. Item 7 is communication 2022-182. Michael W. Harris, citizen, requesting Council Commissioners and Chief Executive Gallagher's authorization to purchase the property located in the Buffalo Spur Lode subdivision, Section 12, Township 3 North, Range 8 West, the east 30 feet of west 64 feet of lots 8 and 9 in Block 1, parcel number 1905610. Harris owns the house located at 33 East Summit on the east end of lots 8 and 9. He is requesting to purchase these remaining lots to have a yard and prevent someone else from building on the property above him. We will hold this in abeyance. It is in land sales. There was a land sales meeting today, and many of these items were on the agenda at their meeting. Communication number 8 is 2022-206. John Rulish, RS Environmental Health Director, requesting Council Commissioners authorization for time on the May 11th, 2022 Committee of the Whole Council of Commissioners meeting agenda to conduct a presentation on the Butte-Silver Wildfire Smoke Readiness Plan. We did have that this evening. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place communication 2022-206 on file.
We have a motion and a second to place communication 2022-206 on file. Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
Motion passes. Item 9 is communication number 2022-209. Elizabeth J. Warner, MD, citizen, requesting Council of Commissioners and Chief Executive Gallagher to allow Elizabeth J. Warner to purchase Silverboard County land located off Lot 16B on Certificate of Survey 1024A-RB from the northwest corner of her house at 130 West Boardman Avenue, Butte, Montana, to the road, lest any portion used by the neighbors to access the back of their houses. This was also at the Land Sales Committee meeting today. We'll continue to hold that in abeyance, awaiting their response. Item 10, communication number 2022-210. Zach Osborne, Fire Chief, requesting Council Commissioners authorization to schedule a bid opening for May 18th, 2022 for the new fire apparatus for the fire department. We will hold this in abeyance until next week. Item 11 is communication number 2022-211. Leslie Clark, Human Resource Director, requesting Council Commissioners authorization for time on the May 11th, 2022 Committee of the Whole Council of Commissioners meeting agenda to conduct a presentation on July 1st, 2022, July 1st, Butte-Silver Health Insurance Renewal. I think that was, presentation was tonight. Okay, is that correct? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That's the same numbers we had in the beginning. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the date about the presentation at the end of that caption is wrong, but it was today. Commissioner Shea. Oh, gotcha. Okay. I'm sorry. It's been a long evening. You're correct. Thank you for that. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place communication 2022-211 on file.
We have a motion and a second to place communication 2022-211 on file. But anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? And would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
Motion passes. Item 12 is communication number 2022-212. Aubrey Japp, Archives Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization for time on the May 18th, 2022 regular Council of Commissioners meeting agenda to conduct a presentation on the Archives 2021 annual report. We will hold this in advance until next week. Item 13 is communication number 2022-216. Michael Boyza, citizen, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization for Chief Executive Gallagher on behalf of Butte-Silver to donate the west 21 feet of Lot 9A, Block 23, for the purpose of boundary adjustment of existing tracts of record to allow adequate space for a proposed exterior elevator on the east side of the Carpenters Union Hall, 156 West Granite Street, Butte, Montana. That is also being run through land sales, and we will hold that in abeyance. Item 14, communication number 2022-218, Angie Mulligan, Public Works, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a bid opening for May 25th, 2022 for refurbishing the Basin Creek Caretaker's House, and we will hold that in abeyance for that bid opening in 2 weeks. Item 15, communication number 2022-219, Mark Neary, Public Works Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a bid opening for May 25th, 2022 for the curb projects at Ophir, Wells, and Fairmont Streets. We will hold that in abeyance until that bid opening on May 25th. Item 16, communication number 2022-225, Lila Osborne, Senior Planner, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a public hearing on May 25th, 2022 on the change to the Butte-Silver zoning district map. And we will hold this until the 25th of May for that public hearing. Item 17 is communication number 2022-234, Danette Gleason, Finance and Budget Director, requesting to schedule a public hearing before the Council of Commissioners on May 18th, 2022 for the purpose of amending the fiscal year 2022 budget to appropriate district court reserve funds to cover the unanticipated costs related to juvenile detention budget. We will hold that in advance until next week. All right, now we're at the point in our meeting for any public comment on any public matter not on the agenda. I don't see anybody out there that's going to be doing that, so I would ask for, excuse me.
Okay.
Oh, Eileen, pardon me. County Attorney Joyce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to clarify on communication 2022-145, item number 3. The Judiciary Committee agenda tonight did not include that resolution. It was held in abeyance on April 27th. The public hearing was held on that date, so it should have been on the Judiciary's agenda tonight, but it wasn't. So there has been no further action taken on moving that resolution.
Okay.
So I'll have to do that in 2 weeks.
Commissioner Anderson.
Excuse me.
That's
Thank
okay.
you very much, Chairman Shaw. No, when I said that I was looking for it on the agenda and I couldn't see it, so I was going to look and see what we did. So thank you for that clarification. Can we segregate it next week and move it, or is that something we'll have to wait 2 weeks for?
County Attorney Joyce.
Oh, Madam Chair, Commissioner Anderson, you can't segregate it because it wasn't on the agenda.
Okay, we're good. Thank you very much, County Attorney Joyce, for that clarification. Okay, is there anything else to come before us before I ask for adjournment? If not, thank you all for being here tonight, and Commissioner Frederickson.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn in a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everyone.